Hey, it's Christopher, and welcome back to watching, winning, easy for me to say, winning and wrecking. He's a little bit overzealous there to start this podcast, and it's Labor Day weekend. Don't want to work, you just want to watch NASCAR all day, and lots of action from the Lady in Black, Darlington. Xfinity series coming up later on this afternoon. Recording this a little bit late. Been busy month and a half for me, really, and just want to get this podcast out. But we have Xfinity action later on this afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern, and then tomorrow we have the Truck Series, and then the Cookout Southern 500. It's a strange name for that. Cookout, if you're Big Brother fans, it's not an alliance, a faction in the Big Brother house on that airs every. I think Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday, if you're into, a little bit of reality TV, a bit on the ridiculous side. But nonetheless, it's entertainment, much like pro wrestling. AEW's big pay-per-view All Out. Tomorrow night, it's competing with the Southern 500. Torn if I'm going to go to that yet or just watch the racing, but either way, I'll keep up with both, whether it be on my mobile device or I go to see the event itself. Much like our friend Rick Springfield, the working class DJ at Sirius XM, I'm gonna channel my inner Rick Springfield now, and I'm 1 year older now. It was my birthday on Thursday. Don't tell anyone. I'm really old now. Pretty well north of 40, but. Yeah, Amanda, my amazing Amanda, my partner, made it a very good day for me, and I was struggling mentally the last 2 days or so with things, and starting some new ventures in my life on the 7th of September, so I'm very amped up about that. I'm going to continue this podcast and put your best foot forward, reset. It's summer is in the rearview mirror, unfortunately, and for Canada, that means for me much colder temperatures and winter. But nonetheless, if you're a fan of 80s music and Rick Springfield, I do recommend that program. It is very highly entertaining as he just seems to go off in his own little tangents. And it was his birthday recently, so I was just sort of ribbing on the square there what he said in the program. And he was talking about that song, actually, we had in the opening was on his podcast this week, and how we didn't want to go, the kids are going back to school, and I didn't like school growing up, and his son's a teacher, and he just couldn't quite wrap his head around why his kids like school, because he hated school, he hated the mean teachers and the bullies, and he didn't want to do math, and, well, we'll see about our children. I don't think they are very amped up about going to school either, but nonetheless, as the leaves start to turn, the temperatures get a little colder. It's still circles, this is a cycle of life, man. We're back to fall, and some NFL actions coming up this week, and that's going to be a lot of fun this year. Don't know who's going to win it all. I know a lot of people ask that in the early part of the season. Who's going to the Super Bowl? Oh, no, I'm not that clairvoyant. I don't have that answer for you yet. Of course, the obvious answers would be Kansas City and Tampa Bay. Again, it's very rare you see teams repeat. Don't count out the Cleveland Browns. I think that's something you would have said 10 years ago. You said you're crazy. I think they've got good chemistry. Don't be shocked by San Francisco. I think they're someone to watch. The Rams are solid. New England has improved. The Dolphins, I think, are much better. The Buffalo Bills, could they finally win the Lombardi Trophy? Does Green Bay have one more run in them? Is Baltimore Ravens get their due? So lots of questions will be answered in later times, but this is not a football podcast. This isn't GMFB. This isn't Kay Shregs or Kyle Brandt, so let's get started. You want to talk about Daytona and relatively quiet race to the end there, and we knew that was going to happen. A lot of drivers got overzealous, a lot of hurt feelings, but Ryan Blaney finds a way to win it again, wins the regular season finale of 2021, and Blaney is just wow, he's becoming a superstar before our eyes. He somehow contained stiff competition at the final restart. 14-minute red flag, a wild final lap, and he leads 7 laps, and he is victorious. Blaney could easily have won his 3rd consecutive race, but that's 2 consecutive for him now. That's 3 wins in a season, the first time he's done that, and 5 top 5s in the last 6 races. And unlikely drivers will win these things. I don't know if he was on anyone's radar, but he's had a lot of success at Daytona in the 500. Finished runner-up 2 times, I believe, and right place, right time. A lot of people say, is he really that good, or is he a lucky driver? It's a combination of both. Blaney is a solid driver. We've seen this. There's progression in the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and a lot of folks will like to shit on him. And you hear this Mickey Mouse on these trends. What's a Mickey Mouse win? I get what they're saying. It's illegitimate. It's not like he went out there, and he has yet to blister the field. Yes, that's true. And any of his wins, his 7 career wins, he's never gone out there and had the best car of the day and wound up in the winner's circle. But does that really matter? Again, we can go back to those old proverbs. That's why they're so important in life. Is it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And he's had times, I think, where he's had a really good car and hasn't won. So that's NASCAR for you. So why all the hate for Blaney? Why all the negative comments and the Mickey Mouse thing? I mean, I was throwing at Chase Elliott a lot in this race about how he wrecked Matt DiBenedetto, all the fanboys out there who are so pissed and so angry that Matty D is not in the playoffs. What a travesty! How can we go on? The sun's not going to rise. The sun's not going to rise, and the sun's not going to set. Right? That's bullshit. Matt DiBenedetto is a great guy. I don't know him personally, but if you follow him on Instagram or you've seen his interviews, humble as they come, seems like a very nice dude. But if he put himself in this position. If he was such the hero that everyone makes him out to be, he would be in the playoffs. He'd be winning races. He wouldn't be in this position. I know it's not to no fault of his own. He's been in lame duck positions with decisions from the higher ups at Joe Gibbs and Penske, and he's been totally victimized by that. But to call something Mickey Mouse, like it's not Mickey Mouse. Blaney and Elliott are legitimate winners, and I think Blaney is capitalized on things. He is in the right place at the right time. Atlanta this year with Larson in the spring, he capitalized when Larson had an issue on pit road. He could have won Indianapolis GP because he was there in the right moment. Just couldn't have enough laps to get by the dinger there. Chase Briscoe and Denny Hamlin had their issues, and what turns out to be a really tumultuous time for Denny Hamlin in recent weeks. We'll get more on that later. But then last week, he wins Michigan, gets a little help from his friend Kyle Busch, gets the win over very game-hender cars and Larson and Byron. So is he lucky? Absolutely. Was he lucky when he defeated Kevin Harvick in Pocono for his first win? Absolutely. But he stayed ahead of Kevin Harvick there. Go back and watch, do yourself a favor, go back to 2017, watch Ryan Blaney versus Kevin Harvick at Pocono, and then you tell me this kid's not talented, that he doesn't belong here. All his wins are Mickey Mouse wins. To that I say, you're delusional and you're not watching the same product, and it's really easy to hate on the guy. So shifting gears for that, is Blaney a legitimate title contender? Absolutely. He's by far risen to the occasion right now. He's the best driver, one of the best drivers on the circuit at the moment. Penske's, I've said it all year, Penske's real legitimate hope at a title. Not to sell Joey Logano short. I think Logano's going to find himself in a good position to win a second title. Brad Keselowski can never count out, but I think he's more focused on next year with Roush Fenway. He's sort of tapped out, and he's been the top Penske driver for the season, and for much of his career has been really solid with Penske and his time with Wood Brothers. Has Todd Gordon atop the pit box. calling the shots. And this is a championship crew chief who's calling it a career at the end of the year. But lots of excitement for the 12 team going forward. Regardless of what they do in this playoff, I think they've built something nicely here. And I know it's going to hurt to see Gordon leave the pit box because he's starting to build that chemistry with Blaney. But whoever gets inserted in here, Blaney's going to have a say who is hired as his crew chief. And I think it could possibly be Shane Wilson from the Xfinity Series. It could be someone outside of Penske. Not Shane Wilson, Brian Wilson. Sorry, excuse me, wrong Wilson. Shane Wilson was crew chief with Penske years ago. That's who's going to have the opportunity to work with Blaney. And Blaney's done really well every position he's been in to this point. 7th career win. And it's the 25th career win for Todd Gordon as a crew chief. And this is the 5th win for Penske in 2021. So a team that hasn't made a lot of noise this year. It's been relatively quiet. It's all about Hendrick and Kyle Larson. Penske still maintains their threshold on the competition to an extent. You're not seeing them as title contenders going into this, but don't be shocked if a Penske driver is holding the championship trophy at Phoenix. And I don't think he's done winning this year by any stretch of the imagination. You have Vegas coming up, where he has 4th and 5th place finishes. Talladega, he's got 2 wins there in the fall of 19 and the spring of 20. He won the Roval in 2018. He won Texas. At Texas, he was the 2nd place finish in the fall of 2018. Martinsville, a 2nd place finish, both races in 2020. And at Phoenix, he has a 3rd place finish, and that was in 2019. So, wouldn't count him out. He's very aggressive at times, yes, but he's had a lot of success in some of these racetracks that are coming up. And that's going to be critical if he is to be a playoff driver, and a playoff driver that can turn not only becoming a playoff driver into a championship driver. And I think it's very feasible that could happen with Ryan Blaney this year. So I'm going to go to the NASCAR report, and we're going to read what the masses had to say about Ryan Blaney's criminal win here. Like it seems as if they're painting him out that this was a miscarriage of justice, if you will. Fuck's sakes, it's Daytona. You saw that coming, and he's fairly good there. So I don't see why we have to paint this guy as a villain at it. He had no business winning this race. And so the underfunded updates, a good handle there. That's cool and all, but BJ McLeod got a top 10. Okay, that is pretty cool, yes. BJ McLeod and Josh Berlicki kept their cars clean, walked away with career finishes. Good for them. Ethan J. Barr 4810 to the underfunded update. BJ McLeod, didn't even spell it right, and McLeod stays winning. I don't understand that. But Chase Elliott, DI 9 to underfunded. BJ McGoat, come on. Like, this. Okay, I'm not going to shit on this because I tend to be the biggest supporter of underdogs. That's why I have a Cody Ware shirt. That's why I have a Quinn Huff shirt. That's why I have a Corey LaJoie shirt. I love, as much as I cat out of the bag here. I love Kyle Larson. I think he's great. I hope he wins the title. He's who I'm rooting for. I know you have to be biased in the media. You can't be biased, in the media. You have to be sort of straight narrow down the middle. But I'm hoping Larson wins this title. I think he's earned it. I think it's a great success story. Him coming back from his issues a year ago. It's a great story. It's a storybook ending, and it's only going to get better. That's just chapter 1. We're just scratching the surface. But I also root for these underdogs. I like to see other drivers who haven't had a lot of success have a chance to win, and I think that's what I admired the most about BJ McLeod and Josh Berlicki's run. They kept the cars clean in a race that was a complete disaster at the end. They're in the right place at the right time. A little bit of success for them. That feels like a win for Rick Ware. That feels like a win for Live Fast Racing, and good for them to get some exposure. Rick's Fan 99, Blaney, another lucky win. He's got the straight face emoji, I'll call it. I don't know what it's called, but you ever heard that old statement, Rick's Fan? You better rather be lucky than good? Well, fuck off. Choke on that, bitch. Devin Fitzpatrick, Riggs fan 99, cry, exactly. Kyle Decker to Riggs fan 99, ain't lucky. He was there when it mattered. Laugh my ass off. That's true. He was there when it mattered. Again, not how you start, it's how you finish. Riggs fan to Kyle Decker says, Corey gave him a push, then everyone lost talent behind him. Seems pretty lucky. Okay, it's not about losing talent. You have that urgency to win. Corey LaJoie was in contention to win. Let's call it for what it is. It's not about losing talent. That's a fucking stupid statement to make. Losing talent. It's a chain reaction of events. Think about it in your regular daily drive. If you're driving down the street and you see a car spin out of control, and somehow you hit that car, is that a lack of driving? Is that a lack of talent? It's a moment of clarity that it was a moment where you lost some clarity. In that moment, things weren't so clear. And you get rear-ended or you get head-on collision. Something happens. Every action has a reaction. So that's what that's a product of. It's not about losing talent. These are the best drivers in the universe. And I like to put you behind the car, Riggs fan 99. Why don't you get behind one of those cars and you have a bunch of cars spinning out in front of you? See how you get out of it. See how lucky you are, you piece of shit. Goodness gracious, don't get me hot. Riggs fan 99 to Devin Fitzpatrick. Not crying, just saying he's extremely lucky. Without that, he's mediocre. How's he mediocre? He's won 7 fucking races. 7 races. And counting. How the fuck is he mediocre? What's mediocre is that you're a mediocre... Excuse me here. Pick up my pen. He's a mediocre NASCAR fan. You're a Riggs. If you're a Riggs fan, for one, what the fuck did your so-called favorite driver do? He only inherited one of the best rides in Busch Series history, which was then known, the Xfinity then known as the Busch Series, for if you're not keeping up here. What Jeff Green was amazing and won the championship in a landslide. He was in a great car in the trucks, too, the truck with Jim Smith, car that Mike Wallace did excellent in for years, was in contention for titles. Shit the bed on that one. He drives for Gillette Evernham, MB2, gets into a car that Johnny Benson Jr., who I guess is a much mediocre driver than Ryan Blaney, if you want to go down that route, had a lot of talent, was a Busch Series champion, mind you, but maybe not quite the wins and the accolades that Blaney had. Riggs can't do shit in that car. He can't do shit when he drives for Gillette Evernham. That's why he was out of the fucking sport so prematurely. So if you're a fan of mediocre, you hit it right on the nail on the head, you piece of shit. You rooted for one of the most mediocre drivers in NASCAR history. Plain and simple. And Kyle Decker, the Riggs fan, seems like you're salty to me. Yeah, you need a little tequila with that salt, motherfucker. Teddy for Betty. That's a great handle. Teddy for Betty. Tells the Riggs fan, being up front all day and winning is lucky. LOL. Cope. Derek Cope, right? So is Derek Cope a lucky bastard? He wins the Daytona 590. Well documented. Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s folly there, his snafu, and takes it full advantage. But he backs it up and he wins at Dover. Only 2 career wins, but little love for Derek Cope. But in other Derek Cope news, very sad that Starcom sold their charter to Spire. That pretty much all but ends poor Quinn Huff's career as a Cup driver. I still got your T-shirt, Huff. You know, I'm still gonna wear it. I want that mane and tail to haul some ass, but guess I'm gonna have to do it in a video game because it didn't happen in reality. But Riggs fan 99 to Kyle Decker. Nah, when he wins by leading laps and being the best majority of the race at a non-super speedway, then I say it wasn't luck. The Pocono win will always be impressive to me. Okay, so he backtracks here. And just as I referenced, that Pocono win was impressive. But he's had a lot of luck at super speedway. He's had a lot of road courses. Look at, he won Roval. He almost just won Indy GP, and that wasn't by luck. He had to battle Dinger to do that. And Dinger's one of the best road course racers of all time, not just in NASCAR. And then we have Devin Fitzpatrick, Baxter Riggs fan. He's one of the best blockers in NASCAR and puts himself in position to win races. Yes, he does. And Riggs fan to Teddy for Betty. Yes, it was lucky because Suarez was probably going to catch him if he didn't get wrecked. Oh, come on. How do you know? Are you fucking Miss Cleo? Are you Gary Spivey? Did you have a fucking vision, Riggs fan, that Daniel Suarez, who was just fighting for his playoff life, was going to somehow be a rocket ship, was behind Kevin Harvick, and fucking pass Chris Buescher, Ryan Blaney, Corey LaJoie? Probably not. And I like Daniel Suarez, but how do you know he was probably going to catch him if he didn't get wrecked? It's just fucking silly, man. Teddy for Betty to Riggs fan. Close, but no cigar. Possibilities aren't realities, exactly. I like this Teddy for Betty's. Straight shooter. I like people like that. Riggs fan 99 to Devin Fitzpatrick. Rarely. Talladega and Daytona doesn't take much. Other times, he either has been the best car and then chokes or runs 6 and gets lucky. Okay, so what point are you trying to make here? You don't like Ryan Blaney. I think that's what that comes across here. I think that's the end game, what this piece of shit is trying to say. He doesn't like Ryan Blaney. So fucking what? Just don't hate on the guy then. If you don't like him, if you think all his wins are flukes and lucky, he's been in this series for a number of years and has been quite successful, mind you. So I don't think lucky people maintain that kind of success with Penske and an organization that's done some shifting around. He has an opportunity to become the top dog at Penske and lead this team into the next 5 to 10 years. So I just don't quite understand the referencing there. Okay, so here's some clarity here from Devin Fitzpatrick to Riggs fan. Takes a lot to get a great run and blocks. There's a reason why these super speedway guys are always near the front. Exactly. That's why Front Row Motorsports, not on this night though, but has a tendency to rise to the occasion and win these type of races. Certain teams put a lot of effort into the super speedways because the amount of drivers that can win at that particular racetrack is so enormous that they put that effort into these races for that reason. Exactly. And I'm going to stop reading this now because I'm going to really rip apart Riggs fan here because he is a total fucking moron who continues to make ludicrous comments and is just totally out to lunch. So I'm not even going to acknowledge this idiot and his comments any longer. Riggs fan, I know if you're not listening to this, you might or might be. I don't know. Maybe you're a fan of my podcast, but you're delusional in every sense of the word. Please stop the hate, man. Increase the peace, less hate. Nice message from Boys in the Hood. Increase the peace, people. Bubba Wallace, a second place finish, the best finish of 2021, second top 5 of 2021. That's a record for Bubba. That's the most top 5s he's had in any season. Had a shot at getting this, led 8 laps, ties a career best. That also was a second at Daytona in the 500 in 2018. Preseason favorite to make the playoffs. I said on this podcast in the preseason picks that he would make it. He did not, unfortunately. 23-11. It had a lot of bugs to work out. It just didn't click for Bubba. Bubba's one of those drivers where the debate will wage on, is he overrated? Is it a lack of talent? Is it just a victim of timing too? Because he's raced for Roush-Fenway. His Xfinity program gets canceled. Joe Gibbs shut the door on him and Kyle Busch Motorsports when he was in the truck. Had an opportunity to win the title there. It was very close. He comes into the Richard Petty Motorsports deal. We know they had a lot of issues. They gained sponsorship. Team has not exactly got the best equipment. So to 23-11, it's a new team. I'm gonna just summarize this as this was a new team. A lot of bugs to work out. It's a satellite team of Joe Gibbs Racing. That doesn't mean anything. They have some of the same information. Part of maybe some of the meetings at Joe Gibbs. Has a great lineup of sponsors, but let's see what they can do next year. You bring Kurt Busch into the fold. It has that he comes in with that championship mentality. Some of that can rub off on Bubba. Remember, Bubba ran Cup with no teammates for his whole career. This is his first year he'll have a teammate. Because when he was with Richard Petty Motorsports, it was a single car team. They did share a little information with RCR. RCR cars were going through some issues, weren't the fastest then. So, in essence, he's never really had a teammate within his organization and a veteran to provide him some tips, that knowledge, and I think that's what Kurt Busch is going to be and I hate how this word gets thrown around a lot, but the game changer. Oh my God, it's like, that's an overused word. When the WeatherTech commercials, right? And we see every fucking week. Got Brandon Miller a payday though, so I guess, it's good for something. Only Amanda will know what that means by that, but anyway, it's inside baseball. And then again, someone used it on a fucking Popeye sandwich. How Popeyes is terrible. And it might be an unpopular opinion here, but Popeyes has some of the worst fucking chicken I've ever eaten. If you're listening to this and you're in Canada, skip Popeyes. Go to Mary Brown's. Go to Wendy's and have their spicy chicken sandwich. If you're talking about the best chicken sandwiches you want to eat, I think Mary Brown's is, Amanda and myself, that's our Wednesday night tradition, date night at Mary Brown's of all places. But don't knock it, man. Mary Brown's delicious sandwich, and I would rank it right up there with all the craze lately, the chicken sandwich craze in the last couple of years. It's been the debate, who has the best chicken sandwich. Well, if you're lucky enough to live in Canada and you have a local Mary Brown's in your area, please do yourself a favor and go have one of those. They're very good. I digress here. I digress. I'm regressing, but I'm digressing too. So let's go back to Bubba Wallace here. Still on pace for a career year. I think Bubba has done some good things and will continue to do good things. I see him as a threat next year to do well. But on pace for a career year, top 10s, needs 4 top 10s to reach that career high. And career high top 5. So, team could really use these next 10 races to set the pace for 2022. You're welcoming in Kurt Busch. You got a lot of the sponsors behind you again. I think Bubba Wallace should have a better year in year 2. He'll have a teammate, and 23-11. Hopefully we'll change some personnel. Maybe Mike Wheeler's not the answer crew chief for Bubba. But again, I think he has to build that chemistry. At Richard Petty, he had 2 or 3 crew chiefs. So I think, again, it's like you're changing head coaches every year. If you're picking that mentality from football, it's like if a young quarterback who with very little experience in the NFL, and you keep changing coaches on them every year, you keep changing offensive coordinators, it's going to wear on you. You got to get comfortable with one system and stick with that system. Ryan Newman, a 3rd place finish. 2 laps led here, was in the thick of the pack, was really in the thick of things here, in the pack at the end, on the final laps, had some unfinished business at Daytona. He should have been the 2500 winner, I believe that, but first top 5 since Bristol, the dirt race in March, and this is the best finish for him in 2021. Could be his final 10 appearances in the Cup Series. They don't know what's going to happen. I know he might be linked to JTG Doherty. I know they have some openings. Front Row might take an opportunity to put him in one of their cars. I don't know if Anthony Alfredo, Fast Pasta, is going to make it to a second year in that car. You have an opportunity maybe with GMS. He's been offered a part-time role with Roush Fenway. So depending on what route he wants to go, and I know he's been a bit stubborn, Newman, when it comes to the quality of ride he wants to be in at this point in his career. He's in the back 9 of his career, I think. You have to be realistic at this point. He's had a great career, borderline Hall of Fame career, in my opinion. So taking an opportunity to run part-time somewhere I don't think is a terribly bad idea. I think it's something that he should consider. It might be in his best interest. But I'm not Newman. I don't make those decisions, and I think whatever. But he can't be so delusional and think that you have and that's what he keeps reiterating, that he wants a chance to be a champion. Well, you had your chance, 2014. You were one lap away from maybe surpassing Harvick and becoming the 2014 champion. But it's not possible at this point. I just can't see Ryan Newman getting an opportunity in a top-tier ride again and having a chance to race for championships. So I think once you get that out of your head, you've got to come down to earth and realize at this point, you're a great veteran driver that can help out a younger team like a front row, like a JTG Doherty, although they're not really that young, but you know what I mean? They never had a driver of that caliber, and that's no knock on Ricky Stenhouse or the Dinger or Chris Buescher, Ryan Preece, Michael McDowell, Anthony Alfredo, David Reagan, anyone who's run for front row or JTG Doherty. It's not a slight on them. It's just that Newman would be a great option for one of those two teams, I think, and could get them some good runs and potentially, I don't know, maybe a playoff run. Maybe he gets his one last glimpse at the championship or thinks that he'll have that one last run at it, but I don't know. Ryan Preece, 4th place finish, first top 5 of 2021. The team never quit. I'll read all season long, but this race, they found a way to stay up front. His first top 10 since Pocono, and the rest of the season has been up and down. And auditioning for really a job in the top 3 series. He's won a truck race earlier this year with David Gilliland, and Ryan Preece is a tremendous talent. Got promoted to this JTG Doherty team. I know they don't have a charter, but let's turn our attention to the news of the day on that. So we'll get that out of the way now. I was going to save that for later, but I think it kind of ties in here. So it was confirmed on August 31st that JTG Doherty Racing will reduce their fleet to one car next year. They will not plan to seek additional charter for the second team in 2022. As I said, we'll reduce it to one car, as Brad Doherty, co-owner, said in a NBC Zoom call on the 31st of August. And no plans yet have been announced for who's going to drive the car. Sponsorship, I'm pretty sure they've had the Kroger brand on their car for a number of years, and some of Kroger's sponsors put their decals on the car. So that's likely. Stenhouse Jr., I still think, could be in the running for it. Not sure what they're going to do. They hadn't won a race since 2014, and that's with the Dinger. And that was on the road course at Watkins Glen, as we all know. And that seems like many moons ago. It was, in a sense. But they've had a long list of drivers have driven for this team. Bobby Labonte, maybe the most high-profile a championship driver. Marco Sambrose in his early days of NASCAR drove for these guys. Ryan Preece they've done pretty well. Chris Buescher too, but nowhere near the top of the charts or nowhere near a team that is seen as a real viable candidate for a championship or even a playoff run. They had one playoff run, and that was with A.J. Allmendinger. But on September 2nd, Ryan Preece was appearing on SiriusXM's NASCAR radio show and confirmed that he is looking for work for next year. I think at this point, there's not a lot of cup rides opening or have open seats. Preece is a great talent. I think he might take the route much the way John Hunter Nemechek did, some other drivers through the years. Justin Allgaier, you go down to a series, get a good Xfinity ride. Maybe he gets the Penske ride. That's open next year. Maybe something at Joe Gibbs Racing for him. He's raced for them before. He's won for them in the Xfinity Series. Maybe he goes to the Truck Series. I'm not sure, but whatever he does, I think it's to get more experience. And he's had some good runs in Cup. As was very much in the thick of this. Almost made the championship here, the playoffs anyway. JTG Doherty has run the two cars since 2017. With Chris Buescher, and at the time was A.J. Allmendinger, I believe. And then he was replaced with Ricky Stenhouse. The team has one win in 13 years on the circuit. This year they had two top fives, both with Stenhouse at the Bristol Dirt Race and here with Preece at Daytona just recently. And that's some good. Preece has shown a lot of life in the car, really, and has outrun Stenhouse at times in a car that didn't have a charter, wasn't really sure of the future. And Stenhouse says he wants to remain with this team. He feels there's a family atmosphere with this team. He's enjoyed his time here. But what's hard to ignore again for poor Ricky Stenhouse is that the lack of success in that car. And it's good to run top 20 in the face of adversity, and you're running against top teams like Hendrick and Joe Gibbs and Penske, who continue to set the bar even higher year after year. It seems like Hendrick just continues to get better year after year. And when you're competing against that and you're looking at your stats, it's a harrowing experience. And I think you got some big names out there. Newman could be available. Newman, I don't know if he's a big upgrade from Stenhouse, but that could be a possibility. He's got a lot of experience. Matt DiBenedetto is so popular. I think he wants to be in a competitive ride and wants to compete for wins and compete for top 5s, top 10s. Can Matt DiBenedetto be the answer for JTG Doherty? So that all remains to be seen. Stenhouse, I think, has a good chance to come back in this car, but I wouldn't bank on it. I just wouldn't. But nonetheless, Ryan Preece, a good 4th place finish, showing that he can compete with some of the top drivers in this circuit, and maybe he'll take a step back to take 10 steps forward. Who knows? Tyler Reddick, an eventful evening for him. 5th place finish. Wild, eventful race for Reddick. Car was smoking before the red flag came out. Thought they had the engine go. First top 5 for him since Homestead in February. So he really earned this. And I think a lot of people will see, yeah, he got in by the skin of his teeth. 3 points over Austin Dillon. But the way he ran all year, he was fairly consistent. Kurt Busch really was just a nut shot to guys like Chris Buescher, guys like Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick. When he started to get hot, even his teammate Ross Chastain, he single-handedly took these guys right out of the playoff picture. And Kurt Busch, that's a sign of a veteran. That's a sign of a driver who knows how to get it done and has that championship edge. And I think that's why he's going to be a great addition to 2311 next season. But Reddick really, for much as, made of him, he had a great Xfinity career, 2-time champion, pulled the upset in 2018. He's had a pretty good Cup career. He finished top 10, I think, in one of his first races with RCR when he was running the 31 car, and which is essentially the 8 car now. But to make the playoffs, I think is going to be huge for his career. It's a big confidence boost. He could possibly, get a chance to win. I think he could win Darlington, honestly. He could win Talladega. He could find himself in the winner's circle. Because this year has been pretty solid, but he's had some trials and tribulations along the way. I think if this team didn't make the playoffs, it would have been crushing blow to him, to his psyche, and I think this team was able to outlast Austin Dillon, for much people would say the 3 car is the top car at RCR. So to do that, it says a lot for him. Can he get past the round of 12? I feel like he can. And 2 top 5s, so that's a season high total for him. So in his second year, I think it's not a sophomore jinx at all. I think he's had a good rookie season, but this is even a better sophomore season for him. And good things are going to come for Tyler Reddick. I don't know what his playoff future will look like this year, but I think it's a step in the right direction for him. Justin Haley, a former Daytona summer winner in 2019, finished his 6th here. His second top 10 in the last 3 races, so things are clicking for Spire in the 77 car here. The Xfinity winner from the day before had a really good weekend for Justin Haley and continues that momentum going into a title picture, a title fight in the Xfinity Series, and then full-time in the Cup for Kaulig in 2022. Alex Bowman, a 7th place finish, first top 10 since Loudon, 13th top 10 of 2021, and a sleeper pick, I think, to win the whole entire championship. And it will be just as good as his teammates Elliott and Larson and Byron in the playoffs. And Chase Elliott, 8th place finish, leads 36 laps, can't quite finish it off, remains winless at Daytona, 4th consecutive top 10 finish, and a really strong race going into the playoffs. But really unfortunate that he got into Matt DiBenedetto. Matt DiBenedetto slowed up, whatever. Yeah, he got into him. But again, I'm not going to blame Elliott for this whole thing because it's a lack of. It's just, again, it's a heated race. So many drivers going for the win for obvious reasons and for various reasons. But I'm not going to castrate him for wrecking Matt DiBenedetto. I think it's a racing deal. Rubbing's racing. It wasn't intentional. So all the hate that came Chase's way is totally uncalled for, totally unnecessary, and Chase Elliott is going to have himself a good playoff, and I think a real strong candidate to repeat as champion. B.J. McLeod, 9th place finish, career best in 76 career starts for the owner-driver, and the first top 10 for the 78 team Live Fast Racing in 19 starts. So, as we said, it's a 9th place finish, but it's like a win to these teams. These teams put a lot of effort in. They know going into the races each and every week that they're not going to be championship contenders. They never came into that. This season was about starting all the races, getting a lot of seat time. I know they've had some road course ringers drive the car on occasion. So this team's trying to build a brand. They're trying to build themselves from the ground up, and I admire what they've done. Matt Tiff and him is made really good with this race team, and I think it's a tremendous accomplishment and should be definitely applauded. Josh Bilicki, a 10th place finish, first career top 10 in 61 Cup starts for him, but even better, his first top 10 across any of the 3 major top series in NASCAR. And Rick Ware Racing, what could have been a real shitty night, and I thought it was a bit comical, I'll admit. You had Garrett Smidley get loose and takes out Gase and Cody Ware in the same shot, so it could have been a really frustrating day for Rick Ware, where you had 3 tore-up race cars. Turned out to be a pretty good day and gets Josh Bilicki in the top 10. So he's been showing a little life, Bilicki, as well lately. He ran really well in Indianapolis in the GP, so it's not to say that Josh Bilicki's going to set the world on fire here, but a good finish, and I think given the right opportunity, better equipment, guys like Bilicki, guys like Quinn Huff, Joey Gase, just if they had the opportunity, I think they're looked at as have-nots in the sport. But if they were given that opportunity, what could they do? I think that's a question for another day, but it's something that I often think about. Eric Jones, an 11th place finish, ran inside the top 10 in the final laps, got shifted back in the end, 4th top 20 finish in the last 5 races. Team is building for 2022, as Eric Jones did confirm at Michigan. He will return to this car in 2022. Still like to get that top 5 before the end of the season, but they want to turn those top 20s into top 15 and 10 finishes going into next year. I really hope he can squeak out a top 5 to keep that streak alive, because that's in serious jeopardy. But good, and Darlington's a good place for him. There's a lot of places where upsets have occurred. Wouldn't count on Eric Jones, and he's a former winner there. Kurt Busch, 12th place finish, ran up in the top 5 in overtime laps, gets into the back of Daniel Suarez, turns him around, and that caused the big wreck that essentially ended the race. But Kurt Busch is a lot of good things going for him. On August 27th, he announced that he will drive the second car for 2311 in 2022, and this is the 23rd year for Kurt. And his goal is to win. He's won in a Chevy, he's won in a Ford, he's won in Dodge. His goal is to win in a Toyota. Spent the last 3 with Chip Ganassi Racing, and 8 years consecutive with a win, and with at least 1 win. That's from 2014 to 2021. And 9 consecutive playoff appearances from 2013 to 2021. So that's going to be good for him. And 33 career wins. He's won with Roush Fenway, Penske, Stewart-Haas Racing, Chip Ganassi, and hopes to add 2311 to that list. And by the end of 2022, he would have made 792 starts. That would be good for 10th all-time on the all-time wins list in NASCAR Cup Series of starts. Brings that championship mindset to a very young 2311 team that has struggled for most of the year, and gives them that competitive edge to elevate their game next year. And it's a multi-year deal. It's not just a 1-year, one and done. So that Kurt Busch plans on racing for a few more years. Hall of Fame talent. And I think this is just a tremendous acquisition for 2311. It was kind of the cat was let out of the bag weeks ago. I know they think this thing was probably solidified in June when Ganassi announced that they were being sold to Trackhouse. I don't think he was ever going to be in Trackhouse's plans. It was linked to them, but I think ultimately the 2311 is the right move for him, and I think he's going to win in a Toyota. But he gets to be a teammate of sorts with his brother Kyle for the first time in his career, as this is a satellite Joe Gibbs operation. So good finish for them. And Kurt Busch looks like he still has lots of winning left in him, has not regressed at all. Denny Hamlin, a third place finish, falls short of claiming the regular season championship. 7 wins in 2020 and now winless in 2021. And now that streak is up to 31 races winless for him. Final 4 last year. I'm not sure he's going to make that this year. Could be. I don't even know if he's going to survive the round of 12 or even the round of 8. Aside from his winless streak, the numbers fairly solid. 18 top 5s in 2020. He's got 13 in 2021. So it's not a really huge stretch, but it's the wins. When you get the 0 in the win column, I think that's what everyone tends to focus on. And it is a bit of a sobering experience when you go from a year ago winning almost every other week to being completely winless while all your teammates, including Christopher Bell, have won a race. So I'm not sure what's going on in the 11 camp, but they got to sort things out if they're going to have a chance for a long playoff run. And I just don't see this happening. And then TMZ NASCAR news of the week, which Amanda just absolutely loves. Couldn't wait to tell me this. Long speculated by Amanda. Maybe she's the Gary Spivey of the NASCAR Cup drivers and their personal lives. But Jordan Fish with an interesting tweet calling out Mr. Dennis Hamlin, and looks like they're kaputs, man. This character was called into question, and that's not for me to do that. I just but he's got a lot of heat on the track and off the track. Denny Hamlin, not the most popular man in NASCAR at the moment. Appears to be that his relationship with the longtime partner, Fish, is gone. And you see the NASCAR memes online. A lot of folks making, jokes at the expense of Hamlin. It's been a tough couple years for Denny Hamlin. On and off the track. I know he had that issue with Martinsville. Chase Elliott, a lot of folks are bringing that up, that Hamlin is not exactly maybe the Mr. Nice guy that he appears to be in the media sometimes, and his association with Michael Jordan and 23XI had a really dismal year. So 2021, not a good year for Denny Hamlin. His team struggling. His own operation struggling. Appears to be on the outs with his partner, and it's unfortunate, but maybe Denny can put that behind him, or will that hinder his performance in the next 10 races? Let's see. Corey LaJoie, a 16th place finish here, leads 1 lap, but was in contention for the win for most of the race. This was a good sight to see. Got caught up in that last lap crash, took him out of it. But Spire Motorsports told him, just hang the throttle, man. Go for it. Don't hang out in the back. Contend for the win, and he did. Falls short, but it's good to see that car up front. Austin Dillon, 17th place finish. Got caught up in that accident. Was having issues with the battery during the race that hampered him. Just hampered by poor luck down the stretch. His last 3 races have ended in crashes. And he falls 3 laps short of making the playoffs this year. But this team, I don't know. I wouldn't let this get them down. I think they can build upon this next year. RCR's cars have gotten faster. They have Tyler Reddick, a teammate who's made the playoffs. Can use him for some valuable information in these next 10 races and really support him and help him out in the next 10 races. Put all their effort to try to get that 8 car deep into the playoffs. But unfortunately, this time, Austin Dillon will not make it. And Kyle Larson, 20th place finisher, but claims the regular season title and is the favorite in Vegas to win the Cup Series championship and cap off what is a career year for him, and gets caught up in that crash with Suarez, Harvick, Chastain, and Kurt Busch, and leaves him falling short. But I don't think he was ever a favorite to win here at Daytona. I didn't think he was going to... He was racing a different race. He didn't care about taking the checkered flag here. It'd be nice, but the goal was to win that regular season title. And the disappointments of the race, it's got to be Chris Buescher, man. Initially finishes second, falling just short of making the playoffs. Had he won, would have taken the 2 RCR cars out and made it. Led 8 laps, would have been his first playoff appearance since 2016. But gets DQ'd, and I don't mean he gets a nice Dairy Queen Blizzard. He gets disqualified. and puts the team's value and effort, and would have been all up in smoke, really. I think this is, in a way, maybe it's good he got DQ'd, because had he won the race initially, got DQ'd, that would just been deflating, but the team gets so damn close to making it. But really, the 17 car got humbled at Daytona, for lack of a better term. I think this team took a gamble, they swung, and they lost, man. But next year, maybe things will be better, and Chris Buescher, really, again, another guy who fell victim to Kurt Busch's hot streak. We'll turn our attention to the Xfinity Series now, and Justin Haley wins his first race of 2021, leads 5 laps, gets a lot of help from AJ Allmendinger and his teammate Jeb Burton in the final laps, and a huge win for the 11 team, second top 5 in the last 3 races, and a solid effort all the way around from Colleague Racing. They all worked together on a 4th career win for Justin Haley, all on super speedways, but again, certain super speedways, they just appeal to certain drivers. They put a lot of stock into building the right package for that race and to make sure that they are up front. And he's a good super speedway race, so this bodes well for him in his Cup career next year. As they said, there's 4 super speedways. Could be he's won already at Daytona in the Cup Series in 2019, so things are looking good. Colleague is by far the best team in the Xfinity Series, and that's no slight to Joe Gibbs Racing. That's no slight to Junior Motorsports. I just think that Colleague is the cream of the crop, and at the moment, all 3 cars have won this year, 5 wins and counting in 2021. They already matched their total from 2020. 12th Xfinity win for this team, and just doing a lot of good things. Justin Haley in the last 7 races has had 1 win, 3 top 5, and 6 top 10. So in a year that's really been up and down for him. He missed some time due to the coronavirus. He missed time in a Cup Series. That injury he had at Pocono with Sam Meyer got banged up pretty good in that one. But all in all, can he return to the championship four? It's very, very possible that you could have all 3 Colleague cars to make up 3/4 of what could be the final 4. And that would be mighty interesting to see. But I think the real odds-on favorite is AJ Allmendinger, perhaps the hottest driver in the month of August in all of motorsports. Got that huge win at Indy GP. He won Michigan. Nearly wins this race. Runner-up finish for him at Daytona. Leads 29 laps. Could have easily won this thing, I think. But in the end, I think working with your teammate, making sure all the cars come home in one piece was the ultimate goal for Colleague here. Last 4 races, he's either won it or he's been the runner-up and takes the point lead away from Austin Cindric. A career resurgence for the 39-year-old Dinger. Could he win the title? It's very possible. I think he continues to, when doors can close for him, he continues to open new ones and gives his career new life. I'm very impressed with AJ Allmendinger. I've always been, but I think when you look at his career trajectory and what are the ups and downs, the trials and tribulations, it's just amazing how he seems to always find himself in a winning position, and I think that's really good for Colleague. It's going to run part-time for them next year. Odds-on favorite, I think, to win the title this year and even next year. That would be huge for the 39-year-old, and Amanda and myself both going to be rocking AJ Allmendinger shirts this year and going into next year. The T-Public has an AJ Allmendinger design up there. Tremendous shirt. That's a very nice T-shirt, and I think it looks really, really snazzy. So we're going to support the Dinger. Justin Allgaier, 3rd place finish here, 10th top 5 finish of 2021, 5th top 10 in the last 6 races. Junior Motorsports, best shot, I think, at winning the championship, going into the final. He could go into the Final 4 again. Does he have it in him? And will he return in 2022? He's been really quiet about, is Junior Motorsports still going to make that move to the Cup Series? Yet remains to be seen, but I think Allgaier would be at the forefront. He would be their top choice to drive their Cup car, and realistically, you look at not AJ Allmendinger, we're still on him, but Justin Allgaier, he's had tremendous stats in this series, deserves to win a title. As much as I like to see the Dinger win or even see Austin Cindric repeat, I think Justin Allgaier is, and he won't say it, he has an article on Jayski saying how family's first, and that's what most important to Justin Allgaier, and should be, right? Rightfully so. But I think his career would be incomplete without this title. I think he it won't define the man, but I think it defines the career for Justin Allgaier to win the Xfinity Series championship. Jeb Burton, a fourth place finish, caps off all three cars in the top five for Kaulig, 6 top five of 2021. And Burton led 8 laps here. Sleeper pick to win the title if he can get into the Final Four. Burton's had a really solid year for Kaulig. That Kaulig effect has really rubbed off on all three of the drivers, and it's really made Justin Haley, and Jeb Burton much better drivers that can win races and can compete up front each and every week. And you have here AJ Allmendinger, who's the cagey veteran that's gone through a career resurgence with Kaulig Racing. Sorry for the pause there. Just need to take a drink. Daniel Hemrick, 5th place finish, 9th top 5 of 2021. Can he win and be strong in the playoffs? Same old question that we ask always about Daniel Hemrick, who, and I don't want to shit on him, but he's raced for some of the best teams in NASCAR in the Xfinity Series. Had that little cup run with RCR. But can he win? And if he can't do it in Joe Gibbs Racing Equipment, he'll never do it. I'm sorry. Aside from racing for Hendrick, and he's raced for Junior Motorsports in this series, just essentially the Hendrick team in the Xfinity Series, you're not winning in this equipment. That's a big concern for me, that you're not winning in this equipment. So, what can he do? I think the next stretch of races for him are going to be critical in extending Daniel Hemrick's career. Christopher Bell, 6th place finish in his second race in the Xfinity Series in 2021, leads 23 laps. Hamlin will drive the car at Darlington, and Hamlin is the all-time wins leader at Darlington in the Xfinity Series, so it'd be interesting to see. 54 car might be in the winner's circle again. And Noah, piece of shit Gregson, as much as I am not a Noah fan, he gets a 7th place finish here and has been on fire since Mid-Ohio. Strong runs from this driver in the number 9 car. Yet to win, but gets renewed for 2022, and in the last 10 races, really solid numbers. I think this saved his season. 4 top 5s, 9 top 10s. So as much as I'm not a big Noah Gragson fan, I have to appreciate what he does on the racetrack and his talents, and those are some pretty solid finishes. And who knows, could be a sleeper pick in the playoffs to sneak into the Final Four. Myatt Snyder, an 8th place finish, 3rd top 10 in the last 5 races. Reddick and Snyder here, RCR's hopes for a title in 2021, as both will be in the playoffs in their respective series. And Harrison Burton, a 9th place finish here, his 5th consecutive top 10 finish, and 3 of those 5 finishes were in the top 10. And Riley Herbst, a 10th place finish, his 3rd consecutive top 10 finish, and his 4th in the last 5 races. Led 9 laps here, 68 points above Michael Annett, and it's unfortunate Michael Annett will not be in the playoffs due to injury, but Riley Herbst really capitalizing on it. I know that you can shit on that all you want, but I'm going to throw him a bone here. I think that still says a lot about Riley Herbst and his will to compete, and he wants to contend, that he could have just thrown in the towel, continues to fight hard, has outraced Brandon Brown and Ryan Sieg, the next 2 closest contenders, and will find himself in the playoffs. Disappointments of the race, Brandon Jones, 40th place finish here, engine failure. So this trend of good race, bad race Jones continues. 4 of the last 6 races had ended in a crash, an engine failure, some kind of mechanical issue. 81 points above the cut line seems pretty safe, but in the same respect as Daniel Hemrick, you're not winning. And I know he's got Menard sponsorship backing him up. He's likely return here to Joe Gibbs Racing, but when is enough? If you're not really putting on the performances that are consistent. I know we finished 2nd at Michigan, but you can't have a really good race and then have 2 bad ones, have another good race, have more bad races. It's a trend that it's not really a recipe for success if you're trending those type of waters. And I think Jones, I'm not sure what's going to happen to him, but not good nonetheless. And a disappointment. Austin Cindric here, 39th place finish. Day ends in a crash. DVP at Michigan. And these minor bumps in the road here, he falls to second in the points. And all year was the point leader. This is the first time now he's battling from behind. And I think it's going to be a good battle between him and AJ Allmendinger. Both should make the Final Four. So I think that's your championship battle in the Xfinity Series. It's going to be the Dinger and Cindric. Now to some Cup news. We already talked about JTG Doherty, but Starcom Racing has sold their charter. And it's wasn't confirmed yet, but Catch Fence and Bob Pottgrass are reporting that Starcom has sold its charter to Spire Motorsports. No word on Spire's intention for this charter. They had 3 charters and they sold off 2 to Colleague, and now they have 2 again. So it says that, are they going to keep the 77 car once Justin Haley departs? Because it's pretty much they've been running a 2-car operation for 2 years now. This is the second season they've been doing it, and they've already had a win with Haley in 2019. So I think there's a lot to be said. But Starcom started up in 2017, but has yet to ever record a top 5, a top 10, and their best finish was on Super Speedway. It was 12th with Quinn Huff last year. They've used several drivers. Derek Cope's been in that car. Landon Castle ran that car full time for a bit. Then you have Huff, who has had little to no success in that car. And it's sad to see the demise of this team, because Starcom, again, it represents those underdogs, those little teams that could. And they're field fillers. For what they are, yes, I'm being brutally honest, they're field fillers. No one ever thinks Quinn Huff and Starcom Racing is going to set the world on fire, win a bunch of races. They're there to fill up the field, and they're there to get, I think, experience for Quinn Huff, or seat time for whatever it's worth. Not sure what that means for his future, but Starcom getting a lot of hate online. A lot of people are glad to see them go. I think it's tragic. I like to see these smaller teams. And they're good stories at Daytona. Look at BJ McLeod. Look at Josh Bilicki. When they do have a little bit of success, it's a great story. But at this point in time, it looks like it's not going to be. And I'm not sure what Spire's got going with that second charter. I'm not sure they're going to sell that off to someone. I know 2311 needs a charter. Rick Ware has, I think, a lot of power because he's got those charters. What's he going to do with his teams? So things are starting to take shape as the year winds down for 2021, for 2022. But Starcom will not be racing in 2022, and that's unfortunate for Quinn Huff. But rest in peace, Starcom Racing. It was nice knowing you, but we hardly knew you. 5 drivers to watch at Darlington. So this is the Southern 500. It's a classic race under the lights. Means a lot still. It's one of the tentpole events in NASCAR. One of the crown jewel races. Winning this can do a lot for your career. The track too tough to tame, Lady in Black, whatever you want to call it. Slick surface. It's going to be a good race on Sunday night. Kyle Larson, of course, regular season champion. Second place finish in the last 2 Darlington races. 6 top 10s and 7 career starts. 4 top 5s in the last 5 Darlington races. And his last win for Hendrick Motorsports at Darlington was in 2012. They seem to be breaking a lot of windless droughts at certain tracks this year. So why not Kyle Larson? It'd be a good way to kick his playoff run into high gear. And looked really good in the Target car years ago. I remember this might have been circa 2017, that good year he had. Didn't quite get the finish he wanted that day, but was really solid, and I think is a real threat to do good things in this car. Runner-up and the spring race here. So lots to like about Kyle Larson winning the first race of the playoffs and getting himself in a good position to take that trophy home. William Byron, another good driver to keep your eye on. 2 consecutive top 5s at Darlington. He was 5th in the fall of 2020, and he was 4th in the spring of 2021. And I think he was in contention for wins at the Indy GP, Michigan, and Daytona. And now can he win here? Can he win big? This would be maybe the biggest win of his career at this point. It gets him higher standing in the playoffs. And again, could be a driver that don't overlook him. I know people say maybe he's the weakest link in the Hendrick Motorsport camp at the moment, based on the win total. But I think he's been one of the more consistent drivers in recent weeks. He's outraced Bowman. He's pretty much been on par with Elliott and Larson. Did not count out William Byron. He could be in the winner's circle on Sunday night. Eric Jones, I know what you're thinking. Eric Jones runs for Richard Petty Motorsports. Richard Petty Motorsports is less than in most people's eyes. 6 top 10s in the last 7 career starts. 7 career starts there. Won the Southern 500 in 2019. This would be one of the biggest upset on a track that's known to produce upsets. Regan Smith 10 years ago in the Southern 500 outlasted Carl Edwards. You've had Brad Keselowski win this race really out of nowhere in 2018. So a track, Hutch Strickland nearly won this thing in 96. So if you're going back to a track, Ricky Craven, remember his finish? It wasn't the Southern 500, but his finish with Kurt Busch that replays time and time again the closest finish in NASCAR history. So this track's been known to have some upsets occur. Dick Turkle won his first Xfinity race. I think his only Xfinity race win was at Darlington. So lots to like about Darlington and for the underdogs, but Eric Jones, really solid numbers. That would be a huge upset for them. No playoff implication, but again, a good momentum boost, and it would keep his top 5 streak alive, and a huge win for Richard Petty Motorsports. Has not won, mind you, since 2014. Kevin Harvick. How could you not list Kevin Harvick in drivers to watch at Darlington? He's a 3-time Darlington winner. He won the Southern 500 last year. Can he repeat Tony Stewart's magical playoff run he went on in 2011? There was an Instagram post this week about that. It's only fitting. Tony Stewart barely limped into the playoffs, kind of said he had no business being there in 2011. Walks away champion. And much has been made about Harvick's 9-win season a year ago. Big zeros this year. This is a place where you could get things moving in the right direction. 3 wins since he's joined Stewart-Haas Racing, and that's a span of 10 races at Darlington since 2014. 3 wins, 8 top 5 finishes. So he's, if nothing, fairly consistent here. 12 consecutive playoff appearances. Is he the Braves of NASCAR? You know how the Braves would always win the National League East, National League pennant on occasion, but would not do anything in the playoffs? Does Harvick have the magic in his car that Tony Stewart had 10 years ago? Or is Harvick now the Braves of NASCAR, where he's got 1 title in all those playoff appearances? And 12 consecutive playoff appearances is impressive, yes. It says that year after year he's a top-tier driver, but you've only got the 1 championship to show. And that's what's the most telling tale. No one looks at the 12 consecutive. They look at the championship number, and that's only 1. So maybe Kevin Harvick could put together an impressive run, prove a lot of his doubters wrong, and find himself with a championship trophy at Phoenix. A racetrack, mind you, that if he does make the Final 4, he's owned that place in recent years and throughout his history of his career. So look out. Maybe Harvick's not finished yet. Joe Logano, up and down year in 2021. Finished second in the 2018 Southern 500 to Brad Keselowski. Third in last year's Southern 500. A win here puts him back into the playoff contention, atop with some of the winners. Would do a lot for his run to get back to the championship, what he did in 2018. Would like to have some of that Ryan Blaney rub that Ryan Blaney's had in recent weeks. And Penske, if anything, will have something to say. One of their drivers will be in the Final 4 and have a chance to be a champion. Saw last year, Brad Keselowski didn't do a whole lot in the regular season, kind of slid through the playoffs, ended up in second position, nearly won the title. Finished second to Chase Elliott. So does Logano have that magic up, and can he do that and get himself in the winner's circle? And I know Joey Logano's had a rough couple weeks. Maybe he can turn his fortunes around at a track that's been known too tough to tame. So I'm going to wave checkers on this episode of Watching, Winning, Wrecking, and it was a pleasure speaking with everyone again, and I hope everyone enjoys their Labor Day weekend, and it's if you work hard, and I understand it's a much needed vacation for everybody, and I hope everyone had a nice summer. It's not quite yet in the rearview mirror, but we're almost there, and I think football's coming up, and baseball playoffs soon, so if you're into that kind of things, the movie theaters are back opening up, and some good movies coming, brand new movies. Saw some really good ones this year, and I think they're only going to get better as the year goes on. If you're into television, I think this is when the new TV series come back on the air in September, and lots of good things going on. And I think everybody should just again be grateful for what you have, and always strive for excellence and be the best you can be, and just try to really, really cherish and relish every minute you have with people you love. And my partner, the amazing Amanda, she is a person who, everything I do it for her, and I think that's never been more prominent than it is now. And I want to really just say to her that I love her, and I thank her for really, really making my life so much better than it is. And yeah, just be good to people, and make the best. Seize the day. Make good on everything you do, and do everything with conviction. So until next time, this is Hey It's Christopher. You can follow me on Instagram at Hey It's Christopher, or follow this podcast at Watching, Winning, and Wrecking on Instagram, and trying to produce more content out there. And also keep your ears open for new podcasts hosted by me and my aforementioned partner, the amazing, beautiful Amanda. It's going to be called the Date Night at the Movies, where we will review movies from the past, the present, and if they still hold up, much like our friends at Chat the Movies, sort of borrowing from them a bit. If some of the movies that are most beloved in cinematic history, do they still hold up? Are they worth your time? Should you go out of your way and give these a rewatch? Should you watch them for the very first time? So there'll be a classic, some really terrible movies like Folks, of Tom Selleck and Don Amici. As I said, that's the best example of when bad movies happen to good people. So just keep your eyes listening. Here's your eyes peeled and your ears listening for that one. It is probably going to drop real soon. The first episode will be covering the 94, I guess, modern day classic for some folks, Mr. Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock, Speed. So if you're a big fan of Speed, listen to that podcast. It'll be the very first episode of our Date Night at the Movies podcast, coming on the Podbean network and Spotify and other platforms where you get your podcasts real soon. And until next time, this is Hey Christopher, and I will see you